In the second episode of EU Talks, a series of interviews on issues and topics that connect the European Union and Singapore, we put the spotlight on education in Europe. On September 26th, in response to the unprecedented times we currently find ourselves in, the European Union in Singapore presents the first digital edition of its higher education fair, Study in Europe. This year, 20 countries and nearly 140 universities showcase the diverse study options available across Europe. This fair is about connectivity, about bringing Singaporeans and Europeans together, and includes a specially curated webinar on Erasmus+, the EU's flagship higher education program. To find out more about and to discuss various aspects of EU's continued commitment to higher education, we are absolutely delighted to have with us today from Brussels, Adrian Weil, Policy Officer at the European Commission. Adrian works in the international unit of the Department of the Commission dealing with education, youth, culture and sport. He works primarily on higher education cooperation and opportunities between the European Union and Asia. Adrian, thank you so much for your time and for joining us from Brussels. Studying in Europe is not just about academics. There is inspiration absolutely everywhere. It is about immersing oneself in the rich heritage, the culture, and the history. Tell us, what else does a student stand to gain by picking Europe for higher education, and what is it that Europe offers that is unique compared to other parts of the world?
Yes, Deepika, thanks. You've mentioned a lot of reasons for coming to Europe, why it's an attractive continent to visit. But if we think particularly about the academic strengths of Europe, I think as a student you'll benefit most of all from the very strong academic heritage in Europe. We have today over 4,000 universities. The first one actually dates back almost 1,000 years to 1088 when Bologna University was set up. But it's not just because a university is old and well known that it's of high quality or worth considering as a study destination. I think the most important thing is that all Europe's universities are constantly innovating. They're constantly reinventing themselves. And in particular, universities in Europe are very much geared towards strengthening the relevance of what they do with the rest of society. Universities are constantly looking at the skills that graduates require. What are the skills that the labour market requires? So developing new skills, updating skills, or new ways of delivering education to match the needs of the future. So it means that probably you'll see a much more holistic approach to university education in Europe, where we're not only dealing with traditional academic disciplines, we're dealing with programs that combine skills from different disciplines to match a particular sector's needs. And I think also what you'll benefit from is this European level. When you come to Europe, you're coming to a continent where education policy is decided by an individual country, but these countries work very closely together. That's what the EU is all about. They come together, they benefit from each other's experience. The universities, the ministries work together. We set common targets, we share ideas, we decide what are the skills to focus on for the coming years. We have now a common approach for digitalization of universities. So when you come to Europe, you benefit from a university's heritage, the role it plays in society, and this extra European added value that is created by the EU.
One of the programs that really makes all of this possible for a student to go to Europe is the EU's flagship higher education program, Erasmus. It affirms really the EU's strong commitment to support student and scholar mobility, while at the same time strengthening the quality of higher education. And I think these are issues that are particularly important and relevant in times of COVID-19. But what I'm really interested in finding out is how students in Southeast Asia and broader Asia can benefit from this program.
Yes, Erasmus does exactly what you said. It provides opportunities for individuals, so opportunities for students and staff to experience other countries, to experience teaching and learning and the way this happens in another country. And it brings the universities themselves together to collaborate on projects, for example, principally on new curricula. The Erasmus program has been around in Europe for over 30 years, and in the last 7 or so years, there's been a big expansion in the way it works with countries outside Europe. So a lot more of these opportunities for student and staff exchange, for university cooperation, are available for students or universities from Singapore, as well as Europe. But for students, we're talking about 2 types of study opportunities and scholarships. The first is what we call Erasmus Mundus Joint Master Degrees. So these are generally 2-year full master's programs, and they are integrated programs. What do I mean by that? Well, they're integrated in 2 ways. First of all, they bring together a consortium, a partnership of different universities, usually from Europe, sometimes from other parts of the world, and together they design and they deliver this master's program. And this means that you, as a student, will have to travel between at least 2, often 3, sometimes 4 of the different universities in the consortium. For teaching, sometimes also for research, but it's also integrated in the way that these programs develop a certain skills set. They're not only teaching law or biology or a language set, they are bringing together different skill sets, often from which are traditionally taught in different faculties, if you like. At the moment, we have about 130 of these programs, and each year we select new programs. By October of 2020, you'll see a new updated catalogue listing about 150 programs. And all these programs will be selecting students to whom they can offer EU-funded scholarships. This year, in 2020, we awarded about 2,500 of these scholarships for students from all over the world. The other type of opportunity is international credit mobility. It's a long name for essentially a classic university exchange program. So it works as follows. A university in Europe, in a European country, France, Italy, Sweden, has an agreement with a university in Singapore to exchange students and staff in both directions. So for a student, will be studying a program at a university in Singapore. They go to, let's say, France for 6 months. They study part of that study course in France. They receive credits for the parts of the course they've studied. They come back to Singapore, and those credits contribute to your degree back home. So that's why we call it credit mobility. And at present, we have about 50 of these partnerships between Singapore and different European countries, about 23 European countries. And these agreements are not only with the larger universities like NUS or Nanyang, but also smaller institutions.
Thank you very much for your time, Adrian, for really covering a whole gamut of issues connecting the EU and Singapore.
I hope that your event goes well. The Study in Europe Fair is a great opportunity to look and talk to people from the different European countries about what is available in their country, what university programs are up for offer. You'll also hear from alumni, so you'll be able to ask questions, people who've been there, who've done it. You'll be able to get useful, nitty-gritty tips and tricks for what you need to bear in mind when you're applying, when you're preparing to leave, and what you should be ready for. But I can only recommend that you really consider a study period abroad, and that if you're considering that, then I think Europe is the right place to come.
On September 26th from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Singapore time at the first digital edition of Study in Europe, Adrian Weil participates in a panel discussion titled Erasmus, Experiences and Opportunities, Cooperation and Cross-Border Collaboration in Higher Education. This panel features the European Union Ambassador to Singapore, Barbara Plinkett, and Erasmus alumni. Please don't forget to sign up for the webinar.